You don't know me, but I've known a few of them like you.
Oh, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me.
And you never will. Welcome to Rosemary's World of Cannabis on 710 Radio.
Are you feeling like a shadow of yourself? Is your mood on its way down? You could be suffering from low THC, also known as cannabinoid deficiency, caused by 77 years of government interference via prohibition. Do you live in a medical cannabis state or the District of Columbia? Are you over the age of 18 and seeking non-toxic natural health, well-being, and peace of mind? Ask your doctor if cannabis may be right for you. After 10,000 years of recorded human use and 77 years of failed prohibition on the world's most extensively tested plant, the results are in. Cannabis has no known lethal dose and is arguably the safest and most comprehensive therapeutic substance known to man. Cannabis remained in the United States pharmacopoeia until 1941, and cannabinoids are currently patented by the federal government as an anti-inflammatory. U.S. Patent 6630507. Human brains have cannabinoid receptors. Cannabinoids are lubricants in the human body. Due to prohibition, our bodies have been denied essential lubrication. Imagine never changing or adding to the oil in your car. The use of cannabis for low THC may cause immediate relief, including a general feeling of well-being, chronic smiling or laughing, feelings of euphoria, increased creativity or clarity, a greater appreciation for music and art, the desire to dance, increased feelings of inspiration, compassion or unity, a need for truth and justice, or you may wake feeling more well-rested than usual. It's undetermined to know exactly how many symptoms the use of cannabis may alleviate because of federal prohibition. There were dozens identified in the 1909 Eli Lilly Pharmaceutical Handbook. Currently, over 80% of the population supports the right to use cannabis therapeutically, and 92% of its users have declared significant non-toxic relief. The most common side effects, which are usually mild to moderate and may fade or disappear completely over time, are dry mouth and drowsiness. Other more serious side effects can include growing and repairing brain cells and DNA or improve vision, may prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, glaucoma, nausea, and suicide, may provide relief from autism, asthma, anorexia, arthritis, AIDS, cancer, Crohn's, depression, epilepsy, fibromyalgia, gout, IBS, insomnia, MS, migraine, pain, Parkinson's, PTSD, and spasticity. Use caution while driving or doing other physical activities until you know how cannabis affects you. May cause paranoia or nervousness, specifically caused by real-life government intervention in your quest for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the USA. Ask your doctor if cannabis may be right for you. Brought to you as a public service announcement by the People's Plant, a campaign of conscience.
And we're back. 2 minutes after the hour. I hope you had a great weekend. Some of y'all are still on your weekend. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. You're in tune to 710 Radio, iHeartRadio, Rosemary's World of Cannabis. Let me tell you right now, y'all are in for some good show today. Let me tell you, I can't wait to bring on the air Mr. Dan Engle, and Dan gonna give us some knowledge and some information. But I want y'all to check this little clip out real quick that I found whilst I was cruising this morning on Facebook.
I put 311 in jail for marijuana offenses, and I was wrong.
The Florida judge has just confessed he made a huge mistake by locking up marijuana users.
I've been haunted for 30 years. Wondering how many of those were using it for medicinal reasons.
Judge Doug Bench became a marijuana advocate after needing to treat it for his lung disease.
I hated marijuana, but I had no choice if I wanted to live. I had to violate Florida law.
Now he's trying to make medical marijuana legal for everyone.
Give it to them. You gotta base your decision on what people need. You gotta make this decision from your heart.
Yeah, that's deep. Now when you can get a judge now in the state of Florida to admit we need medical cannabis, I don't know about to y'all, that's pretty doggone deep. I'm not kidding with you. So it's just something to think about. Also, it's just a couple other things I want to hit to y'all real quick about that's what's been hitting the face of Facebook and beyond. Asheville, y'all know about Asheville backing medical marijuana. And also the President Ronald A. Pauls, MD, President and CEO of Mission Health, is also backing this as well. He's clarifying his position on medical marijuana. And if you check out Mission Health or my page on Facebook, you'll get more details on that. That's a pretty interesting story as well. Gonna give you one more real quick. Okay, yeah, this is an interesting one. I found this it was shared by one of my friends and I from My Marijuana News. Of course, authorities, I can't talk this morning, say that 3,575 pounds of pot had an estimated street value of $1.7 million. Now, this was seized from a truck in California on the Southern California border station, so that's an interesting one there. Also, a senator advised recreational marijuana in Nevada, and entrepreneurs was getting ready for that green rush. And there's something else I wanted to share with y'all real quick. Nevada's recreational pot sales. There are 37 dispensaries in the Las Vegas area. An eighth of an ounce, notice I say 1/8, will cost you $80. 1 ounce, $400. I'm sorry. I will not be taking a flight out there to get some cannabis. They can forget that. That's beyond street value right there. I mean, come on now, really? I understand that Vegas is new. They gonna chase everybody right into the black market, because the stigma of, okay, we got something new to try is gonna wear out quickly, especially when you tell somebody that they got to pay $80 for an eighth. That's just a little high. And the last one I'm gonna enter with Starbucks, a marijuana Denver chain heading to Telluride, is roughing existing pot business fellas. A new business called Green Dragon has been granted a license to sell recreational marijuana in Telluride. For the existing cannabis store in Telluride are not doing cartwheels. The marijuana weed manager says the existing store, Starbucks Marijuana, and the other one, Denver-based Chase, has 10 stores, including Aspen, Breckenridge, and Greenwood Springs. Green Dragon's price of $5 grant undercuts prices in existing stores that only sells at the recreational sector, but other stores are selling both recreational and medical to company. Competitor arguments with those medical needs were hurt by this price cutting. I say bully for the person that's undercutting. Because Telluride, I've been up in that area, that's a little expensive what they're asking for their cannabis. So, hey, adjust with the program and move over. Cannabis going to drop anyway. The more people you get in the market, the price is going to drop. That's why I be telling people that's talking about investing in the cannabis, I would hold up for a second, to be honest with you. Because until we get everybody legalized, these states are going to fluctuate real bad. And I don't know if you want to be, taking your last hard-earned dollars spending like that. So it's up to you on how you do. But, yeah. Also, I want to talk about the things that's going to come up on this week's show. Tomorrow's show is going to have Freddie Dutchmore, which is known as Dr. D.B. Cush from One Blunt Radio. He's getting ready to do a documentary with BET. I'll be talking with him on Wednesday's show. Now, I'm going to tell you like this here. I'm hyped about today's show, and I'm also hyped about Wednesday's show. Wednesday's show, if you in the ATL area, when I say this name, you already know what time it is. We're going to have Coach. That's right. I mean, yes. You think I'm hyped? You ain't heard nothing till you hear Coach. Coach is going to be on our Wednesday show. Thursday show, we're kind of, we're still looking for somebody. We got some ideas on who might be there and who not might be there, so we're gonna wait and see on that. But Friday show you don't want to miss. You want to definitely be here for Friday. I'm gonna have the minorities medical marijuana ace boom coon, the highest one in the world, Miss Roz McCarthy. That's right, that is right. The originator is going to be here, and she's going to speak some knowledge to us and let us know what's going on. Also, speaking knowledge, Speak Life is going to be coming soon, guys. The documentary that I'm featured in here in South Carolina, as soon as it's available to let you know when it's going to drop, you will hear it first on 710 on Rosemary's World of Cannabis, okay? So I done put a lot out there to you. It's 9 minutes after the hour. Guess what? In about a minute, you will be hearing from the man himself, Mr. Dan Engle. So whilst we doing that, we're going to go back to this last PSA for the day. And when I come back, you'll be hearing from Mr. Dan Engle. You're in tune to 710 Radio, iHeartRadio, Rosemary's World of Cannabis.
Are you feeling like a shadow of yourself? Is your mood on its way down? You could be suffering from low THC, also known as cannabinoid deficiency, caused by 77 years of government interference via prohibition. Do you live in a medical cannabis state or the District of Columbia? Are you over the age of 18 and seeking non-toxic natural health, well-being, and peace of mind? Ask your doctor if cannabis may be right for you. After 10,000 years of recorded human use and 77 years of failed prohibition on the world's most extensively tested plant, the results are in. Cannabis has no known lethal dose and is arguably the safest and most comprehensive therapeutic substance known to man. Cannabis remained in the United States pharmacopoeia until 1941, and cannabinoids are currently patented by the federal government as an anti-inflammatory. U.S. Patent 6630507. Human brains have cannabinoid receptors. Cannabinoids are lubricants in the human body. Due to prohibition, our bodies have been denied essential lubrication. Imagine never changing or adding to the oil in your car. The use of cannabis for low THC may cause immediate relief, including a general feeling of well-being, chronic smiling or laughing, feelings of euphoria, increased creativity or clarity, a greater appreciation for music and art, the desire to dance, increased feelings of inspiration, compassion or unity, a need for truth and justice, or you may wake feeling more well-rested than usual. It's undetermined to know exactly how many symptoms the use of cannabis may alleviate because of federal prohibition. There were dozens identified in the 1909 Eli Lilly Pharmaceutical Handbook. Currently, over 80% of the population supports the right to use cannabis therapeutically, and 92% of its users have declared significant non-toxic relief. The most common side effects, which are usually mild to moderate and may fade or disappear completely over time, are dry mouth and drowsiness. Other more serious side effects can include growing and repairing brain cells and DNA, or improve vision, may prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, glaucoma, nausea, and suicide, may provide relief from autism, asthma, anorexia, arthritis, AIDS, cancer, Crohn's, depression, epilepsy, fibromyalgia, gout, IBS, insomnia, MS, migraine, pain, Parkinson's, PTSD, and spasticity. Use caution while driving or doing other physical activities until you know how cannabis affects you. May cause paranoia or nervousness, specifically caused by real-life government intervention in your quest for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the USA. Ask your doctor if cannabis may be right for you. Brought to you as a public service announcement by the People's Plant, a campaign of conscience.
And we're back 11 minutes after the hour. Like I told you once again, we had a man in the building, Mr. Dan Engle. Good afternoon, Dan.
Thank you, Rosemary, very much. Can you hear me well?
Oh yes, we got good sound on you, hon. So I can't wait. I've been like all weekend like a little kid at Christmas. Like, yeah, boy, my boy Dan go speak, and he gonna speak the truth. So Dan, I'm gonna tell you like this here: speak whatever you like, anytime you like, whatever subject you want to start with. You have control of the mic and go.
All right, dear. Thank you, and please stop me and ask me any questions you like. First of all, I'd like to say my name is Dan, and my background is I was a veteran for 24 years. Very proud of that, and very proud of all the other veterans in the United States.
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate it. And I've been a business owner after I got out of the Navy. And one of the businesses I'm in right now happens to be the cannabis industry in California. Now, while I was in the Navy, I did drug interdiction for the country in the 90s in South America. And we did it at a very intense level. So what I'm going to talk about today a little bit is drug interdiction and how that applies to us in South Carolina. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history and how that applies to us in South Carolina. And then I'm going to talk about the weak, and I do mean weak effort from the veteran community and from the minority community when it comes to getting medical marijuana approved in South Carolina. And I know that there are lots of people that want the help, they just don't know how yet. So we'll talk about that.
Wow, you done, hey Dan, you hitting them right where I want you to hit them at, man. So wow. I mean, first of all, I knew a lot about you, but I didn't know that you served. Once again, I got to thank you for your service, especially doing 24 years in the Navy. That's challenging within itself. So, wow, I'm honored. I'm definitely honored now to know that I'm helping a veteran out there that has served honorably at that and decided to move on beyond the stigma of cannabis and open up your own. That is incredible.
Well, you and I know that for that, and I'm a little off my schedule here, but we'll say that you and I both know for that. And PTSD, that smoking, and I'm going to say this again, smoking cannabis is the best form of using cannabis for a veteran in their PTSD.
Exactly.
It's a fact. And the Veterans Administration has even approved that usage in states where cannabis is legal. So, yes, you're right. But let's get back to a couple other things I wanted to talk about. First, I'm going to talk about the groups in South Carolina.
Okay.
Now, what you what you don't know is that I helped in Ohio at a very low level, and I got to talk to some high-level politicians and stuff. But I helped for about a year or a year and a half, or quit, whichever you like. And it's because I got frustrated with all of the groups that were fighting each other so that they could claim they're the one that brought medical marijuana to Ohio, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does Ohio have now? They have one of the worst bills in the United States for medical marijuana because all of those groups could not work together. So, here's what I'm going to say about South Carolina's groups, because I have the mic. I'm going to say that the group led by Emily McSherry is a great group. I think Emily McSherry has probably more cannabis knowledge than anybody else in the state, including me. I think Jill Swing is probably one of the most professional and one of the most sophisticated people leading a group in the state. I don't know why those two people aren't working together. I think what you're doing with your minority group is awesome. But I don't know why you're not talking to those three. And then there's one other group.
We lost you. We lost you, Dan. They didn't catch that last part. What was that?
I said, how's this? I'll stop walking around.
Okay, great.
Okay. And then there's one other group called South Carolina Compassion, right? And it's just like all the other groups in Ohio. Everybody that had a group wanted to get a grow or wanted to get this or wanted to get that. Well, you have to put that behind you. And you have to concentrate on not your personal finances, but on what's best for everybody. So I'm recommending to all those groups, for the head of all those groups, to get together at one table and sit down and talk and stop this nonsense of social discourse. I mean, not social discourse, social, they just do not get along socially. They just don't.
No, they don't.
And they should. They should be talking to each other. The heads of those groups should be talking.
Mm-hmm. And they're not. And this is the thing, Dan. It started out with everybody that you listed in those different groups. All of us started out together. I don't know where the separation came at or anything like that, but I've reached the olive branch out to each organization and told them I will help all of them, but I would like for all of them to come together as well, because I see what you're talking about is going to happen in Ohio. And worse than that, if we don't come together, we're going to get a plan that nobody's going to be happy with.
No, it's happening right now. You look at the bill that
S212
and the police chief, I said it's happening right now. If you look at the bill that they're offering without smoking or any of that other stuff, it's a copy of Ohio.
I know, and I'm not down for it.
Yeah, no, never mind. So let's stop that for a second, and hopefully those four people heard me, and they'll all talk.
I hope so. Because it's like this. This is what I would love to do. I would love to bring the other three ladies on this show and see can we get it all hashed out in the air.
I say send them an invitation.
Let's see about working on that.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about drug enforcement and why it is the way it is, because you have to understand this a little bit in order to understand why it's so difficult. Okay? And I'll try and get through it pretty quickly.
Oh, we got a whole hour. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, so everybody knows about Harry Anslinger and all that stuff, but, the problem with Anslinger was he was the head, and you need to know this stuff about him because it sets the tone for the next 85 to 100 years. I mean, it really does. Anslinger was given the lead of a new Federal Bureau of Narcotics. He was absolutely every bit as aggressive and ambitious as was Hoover at the FBI.
Ooh.
The problem was Anslinger had made up so many rules and laws that drugs couldn't be shown on films or on any of that stuff by law. So he had no way, unlike Hoover, who could show bad guys shooting people. Anslinger didn't have all of that. So he had to come up with a foil. And he did. And I'm going to read a few quotes here, and then we'll talk about them. 3 or 4. But these are some that I'm sure people, they think they know about Anslinger, but they really don't. And this is important because this is what sets the tone for drug enforcement for the rest of our lives. Marijuana is the most violent causing drug in the history of mankind. Harry Anslinger. Harry Anslinger, you smoke a joint, you're likely to kill your brother. Now this is the one that I really have found most offensive. But most marijuana smokers are Negroes, Mexicans, jazz musicians, and entertainers. Their satanic music is driven by marijuana and marijuana smoking by white women. Men that want to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and others. It is a drug that causes insanity, criminality, and death. The most violent causing drug in the history of mankind. Harry Anslinger. Now, if we talk about that, why did he say something like that? He said something like that because in 1930, bigotry and racism was the rule of the land. It was the way of the land. So that gave Harry Anslinger someone to go after. And he did. He went after blacks and Mexicans and so on and so forth, right? That was his primary goal. But from the very start of this law, it was bigoted and racist. From the very start. I would think some guy from the ACLU, though I don't know, but I would think some guy from the ACLU could go back and look at this and apply it to the law today and get a ton of people out of jail because the law has continued all the way through.
Exactly.
Because despite the number of uses, like use rate among white and black is almost exactly the same. Arrest rates are not. So, anyway, let me get back on track, but I just wanted to let you know a little bit about Anslinger.
I had read all 3 of those statements before, and I mean, each time I read those statements, especially the last one, my blood boils. Because we're still living off ancient history.
Yep, we really are. Then I'm going to show you why in a minute.
Okay.
But this is the last quote I'm going to read, and only because I'm hoping that the African American community and the Latino community or Hispanic community will get behind you. Reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men.
Ew.
Let me read that again.
Yeah,
Reefer
please do, because you know that's going to... Dan, read it slowly, because it's going to be somebody that's going to miss an important part of that, okay?
All right. Reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men. Harry J. Anslinger, Director of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics.
Wow.
Right? So now, let's fast forward to the current DEA, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a history of racism in enforcement to begin with. So the current DEA and their efforts, they interdict 4% of all drugs that come into the United States. 4%. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah,
4%.
I'm listening. Yeah, I know.
So that means they're 96% ineffective. Now, any business in the world that was 96% ineffective would be out of business. You know?
Yeah.
But of that 4% of interdiction, 80% of the interdiction is marijuana. Of that 4%, 80% is marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing, right? 80% of it is marijuana. And why is it marijuana? because you can smell it, it's bigger, all of those things. It's not more dangerous, it's just easier to find.
Yep.
Okay, so that's one thing. And remember that government agencies, and I know you know this, Rosemary, for being a vet, but government agencies get paid on their accomplishments. No matter how little, no matter how suspect, they get paid on their accomplishments. If they don't spend their money, they lose it. And if they want more money, they have to ask and show some accomplishment. Well, as long as they keep arresting people, it doesn't matter for marijuana or heroin. As long as they keep arresting people, those are accomplishments. Okay?
Yep.
All right. So now, if you take that, you know, that they have to bust people to keep getting funded, and the only way they bust people is, for the most part, is marijuana. Now you hear about these great big 20-kilo heroin busts and stuff like that, but those are few and far between. Because if they were really interested in busting heroin, we wouldn't have a 2,500% increase in opium production in Afghanistan post 9/11. And we have DEA guys over there right now. That's a legitimate number. 2,500% opium increase since 9/11.
Wow, that's huge.
And we have DEA guys over there. And we have our military.
Mm-hmm. Guarding the fields.
Okay. So, getting back to this. So DEA has to have busts to be legitimate, right? They have a mission. And one of the statements in the head of DEA's job description is he cannot do anything to assist in the legalization of cannabis. He is not permitted by law to do that. So for the folks that thought he was going to reschedule it or anything else, no, it's not going to happen. You need to have Congress, and Congress is the only one that can do anything about this. Congress has to direct the DEA.
And they have no interest in doing it because they're in the pockets of Big Pharma.
Yeah, that's right. So, just in the same way that Congress has to direct DEA, the Senate has to direct the state law enforcement folks, right?
Right.
Now, the state law enforcement, it's even worse. Because, for instance, the state law enforcement guys get grants from the DEA. They get money from the DEA. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it gets a little fuzzy for me, but I'm assuming I'm correct on this, is that I would assume, that you would have to show progress in order to continue getting grants.
Yeah, you would.
And those grants pay for their DIU, their drug interdiction unit,
mm-hmm.
where you see all those guys in South Carolina with all those big green uniforms and the dogs and the guns and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That they never use. If, for instance, if marijuana smoking becomes legal in that state, their arrest record goes way down. And then, possibly, so does their DEA grant and money. And that's why the state and city law enforcement guys are fighting it so hard. Now, I'm not going to mention any names because I thought about this for a while. And most of those guys are fighting for their jobs, right?
Yeah.
The guys that are working in prison, the policemen, and even the state law enforcement guys. And I think maybe 1% of them even actually believe what they're saying. But the bottom line is, they're fighting for jobs, and we're fighting for lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to. So, we cannot accept a no-smoking bill. And we'll get to that in a little bit why. But we just can't accept it. Now, in the state of South Carolina, I've researched, and those DIU units that get paid so much, not in the last 2 to 3 years, South Carolina's averaged over 700 heroin deaths or opioid deaths a year. You know how many large heroin busts we've had from the CIU unit?
Maybe 2?
That would be zero. That would be 0.
What?
Yeah. They've assisted the DEA on some busts, but they haven't had any of their own big busts. They've always assisted, from what I've been able to find. Somebody else might be able to find some different facts, but what I've been able to find in the last couple of years, nothing, other than assisting the DEA.
Craziness. I'm almost scared to ask how many pot busts they had.
Well, I'm about to tell you. So here's the thing. In South Carolina, 85% of all of their arrests, 85% of all of the state and local law enforcement arrests are for marijuana users.
Okay, 84%.
85% of all people arrested for drugs in South Carolina are marijuana users.
That's high.
Now, of those marijuana, of that 85%, 70% of them arrested are black. So let's get back into this for a second. All right. Why is 85% of all drugs or all arrests for drugs in the state of South Carolina marijuana, and not the drugs that kill it? Because, you know, it has a huge meth problem. And it has a huge heroin problem.
Yes.
They have a meth problem in the town of Piedmont like I've never seen in any country in the world.
Yes.
But anyway, huge meth, huge heroin problem. But we arrest 85% of all drug arrests are for marijuana users. And the reason for that is the smell.
Yep.
Right? So if I just smoke a joint sitting in my car, and it's illegal in South Carolina, and sitting in my car, and the cop comes up, and I'm not going anywhere, boom, I'm done. I'm arrested, right?
Right.
But I could have just injected myself with heroin or snorted meth. Okay. I'm okay. Now, let's get back to that 70 and 30%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, out of the 85% of all drug arrests, 70% of them are minority-driven, mostly black.
Mm-hmm.
Now, now what's really interesting is the use rate of cannabis in South Carolina between blacks and whites are about equal. And I have a friend on the police force, and I'll tell this story just anecdotally, but I have a friend on the on the police force in South Carolina. True story.
Mm-hmm.
White kid got arrested by a cop. He got a ticket. 2 days later, he arrested a black guy. He went to jail. Same amount of cannabis, same situation, everything. That's fact. And that's what happens throughout South Carolina. Now, the problem with that is this. If I'm in that 30% group of whites, I'm speculating now, but I'm saying at least 50% of those are going to get bought out by their parents or by somebody else, right? They're going to buy their way out of it.
Right.
So then 15% of them are going to have to face court or whatever. Now, in the 70% of the black folks there, I'm speculating at least 60% of them are going to court.
Right.
And that's speculation, but I think the number's pretty good. So what happens is those 15% of the white guys and the 60% of the black folks that go to jail, or that go to court,
Mm-hmm.
Many of them get felony convictions. They go to jail, they get out of jail, guess what? No job.
Right.
And then they start hanging around, and you know what? The police know who's hanging around, so they follow you and they bust you again.
Right.
And I'm going to say this, and I'm white as a snowflake. so I can't really say. I was never, but I'm going to say this. It is the closest form to slavery that I've ever seen. And it's not only that, but it's for the poor white people and for the poor black people in that state. Because you know what? You get arrested for cannabis and you go to jail, you're not getting a job. Your life is over.
That's correct. Dan, I'm going to interject a little bit on that. When I tell people, for example, when I tell people I do what I do is one of the dangerous jobs in South Carolina, they don't believe me. Me coming out the cannabis closet like I did, they don't believe me. I mean, excuse the expression, my ass on the line doing what I do because it's the right thing to do. Because it got to start somewhere. But some people don't take it that seriously. Some people, some do and some don't. Let me give you a perfect example. I was on Facebook last week and I had somebody to put on my Facebook page, stop putting a bullseye on your back. This is my response to them. I'm lawyered up. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. You have to be lawyered up in order to do what I do, first and foremost. Each state you go to, you need to have a lawyer on your team. You have to. You have to. Even if you ain't got nothing but their card and they know your face and know what you're doing. You have to have that lawyer on your team. And I appreciate somebody looking out for my well-interest like that. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to feel like when we're speaking about cannabis, something to save our lives, or using it in this state, trying to keep, going. We shouldn't have to feel that way. I feel like I'm back in the 1830s here in South Carolina running from Master's whip.
Yeah, I agree with you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something. I agree with you. It's an ugly state. I'm pretty fearless. And I really do mean that. Nothing really scares me. I mean, there are things that you don't want to have happen, but I have to tell you, when I get in my car and drive in South Carolina, I'm scared for my family. Because I just don't know whatever's going to happen there.
Exactly. And that's the thing I tell everybody. I'm like, when I do go to pick up whatever I need to pick up, I'm scared from the time I pick it up. I'm scared from the time I have it. I'm scared to the time I even use it. I've got more gray hair, Dan, in the last 3 years being here than anything else. South Carolina is no joke. I've seen it firsthand on what can happen to you. And I don't want to go through that. And we shouldn't have to be put in that position that we have to go through those situations like that to be well. And there's got to be something in the Constitution where we can fight back if all else fails.
Well, think of this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You brought it to our attention, so I'll just throw it out there.
Go for it.
Let's talk about veterans for a second.
All right.
You were a veteran. I believe your husband was a veteran as well.
Yes.
Me. So the country, and every vet needs to hear this. Every black person needs to hear this. Every person listening to this broadcast needs to hear this. We send 19-year-old young men and women with M16s across the pond to kill people. They are considered mature enough and good enough to go kill people, to drop bombs on them, to split their neck, to do anything. They're old enough. And then we bring them back, and we're surprised that they have some problems. And we're not going to think that they're mature enough to use a drug like cannabis, right?
Right.
They're not responsible enough. But they're responsible enough to be sent there to shoot people that they have no
you can say fucking on this show. We're uncensored.
Yeah, where they have no fight with these people other than someone saying, hey, they're bad guys, go shoot them, right?
Right.
And so they go over there and they do that. They come back, they need help, and what do? We fill them with opioids. And because they're not responsible enough. I got to tell you, there's something wrong with that thinking. Very wrong.
It is.
Very wrong.
It is.
And the vets that we're talking about here, let's start with the top one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions claims he's a vet. And before any other veteran, after the Vietnam War, climb in and start hammering me, let me just say this. Sessions and the head of the medical committee for South Carolina, the Senate committee, both were Vietnam era vets, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. In the Vietnam era, it was different than has been the last 25 years or so. Last 25 years or so, if you were in the military, you got sent somewhere and you were in logistics, you were in logistics, you didn't have a choice. It's just, you're in logistics.
Right.
That's what you signed up for. But in the Vietnam War, everybody went to Vietnam or Germany, right?
Right.
Unless your parents had enough money or influence to keep you stateside. And that's a fact. That's a fact.
That is so true.
And I think if you ask the Vietnam veterans that actually served in Vietnam, they will say approximately what I'm about to say. So Jeff Sessions, who is supposed to be a vet and understand us, is not. I believe him. I'm not saying he is. I believe him to be a bigot. I also believe him to be a fake veteran. Technically, he's a veteran. Technically, he is.
On paper.
But during the Vietnam War, his family made sure he stayed at a logistics warehouse in Alabama. So when he claims he's a veteran, that's total bullshit. He served in a logistics warehouse during Vietnam while everybody else was going to war. But he's proud of that moniker, right? And then we get to the head of our medical committee in South Carolina, the good senator from Gaffney. Facey, he claims that he was a veteran. Technically, he is. Technically. Guess where he served? He served in Louisiana during the Vietnam War. Now that's a brave thing to do. And then let's get to Lindsey Graham. See, all three of these have a direct connection to where we are in South Carolina.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can't wait on this one. Go for it.
So Lindsey Graham served as a JAG, a lawyer,
right,
in the Air Force for 6 years on active duty.
Mm-hmm.
As a JAG, and then he immediately got out into the reserve. What a lot of, and I was an officer as well, but what a lot of officers do in order to be able to collect a retirement later on down the road. I'm not saying a lot of enlisted folks don't do it too, but it seems to be there's more officers enlisted sometimes in reserves.
That's
you know what
correct.
I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, he decided he wanted to do the 1 weekend a month. For those who don't know what a weekend warrior is, he's a 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out the year soldier. He plays soldier 2 weeks out the year, okay guys?
Yeah, and so Lindsey claims that he is a warrior as well. He's a warrior.
That's a good one, Dan.
Yeah, good. And then, Lindsey he hated or disliked or would not support our medical marijuana bill until all of a sudden some child, the child I think of as administrative assistant or something, became ill and found out that, medical marijuana is help that. I better get behind it. But you know what? He's done nothing for us. Nothing.
Shows how much he thinks about his administrative assistant.
Right. So then you get to Senator Peeler, right? Senator Peeler claims he's a vet, though he spent all of his time in Louisiana. As far as I know, he never fired a shot in Vietnam, but he likes to claim it. He's attacked. He has verbally and physically attacked other vets, when they disagreed with him. And then, this is the best part. I went and researched his record as far as some of the issues that he has brought forth and some of the bills and stuff, as well as everybody else on the South Carolina medical committee, right?
Right.
Mr. Peeler, Senator Peeler, has spent more time, if you really want to know where his heart lies. Senator Peeler was one of 3 senators that supported the Confederate flag. Now, Senator Peeler also spent more time on the Confederate flag in that bill than he has on medical marijuana.
And he did. I know for a fact that he did. Because I used to read the articles and my blood used to boil. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's a fact.
That's a fact.
Because I've researched it. Now, his issue of the Confederate flag was more important than veterans' lives, more important than children's lives, more important than arrest rate, more important than everything. That Confederate flag was more important. All right. So then let's get down into the district, right?
Right.
Because I'm just hitting the politicians that said they were veterans or want to be veterans or all that stuff, right?
Okay, go for it, man.
So then there's another senator. I just recently testified before the Senate in South Carolina, and there was one senator there that I had a disagreement with, and that was Senator Kevin Johnson.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah. So I just, hopefully there are some folks from that district listening, but I just want to ask the African American community in that area, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? My exchange with Senator Johnson left me with an impression now, it's my impression, that he could care less about anybody, really.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, not to cut you off. I have talked to Senator Johnson more than one occasion, on the mic and off the mic in his office. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm ready to make a road trip down there in his area to talk to his constituents. That's where the point I'm at right now, because how he makes it sound like his constituents is all behind him and everything. I honestly and truly don't think they know what he is saying about his constituents down there. And I honestly and truly think they're so busy doing what they're doing, drinking and going on down there. Let him tell it. Now, these are his words, not ours. They down there so busy drinking and doing God knows what that they don't know what's going on. So I think they need a Rosemary's World of Cannabis wake-up call and put him on the spotlight, because first and foremost, you're like us. And this is what he tells me. Why do we want to bring? First thing they're going to do is put it in our communities. First of all, you got to be one of us. And right about now, you're not acting like one of us, because this thing, and I went on to my whole speech and everything, and me and Senator Johnson has bumped heads on different bills for the past 3 years. So this is my goal. Before school starts back in August, I plan to go down to Senator Johnson's district personally to talk to the constituents down there and see just what the hell they thinking.
I'll go with you.
Great. Let's do it.
Yeah. So let's talk about Kevin Johnson for a minute.
All right.
He's a fine politician in the most stereotypical Southern way. And so when I talked to Senator Johnson initially, one of the things he said was that his dad was a vet and his son was a vet, so he kind of knew what was going on.
Right.
To everyone listening here, I just want you to know, you have no idea.
No, they don't.
Unless you're that particular vet. And I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you that unless you're in that person's head, you just have no idea. And so I tried to call the good senator out on that, and he got all upset, and started defending his record and everything else. So then I gave him the same numbers I gave you. 700 black people or minorities, 300 white people. And you know what he told me? He said, well, those are your numbers.
I remember that. I'm going to have to find that clip, and I'm going to play it on Rosemary's World of Cannabis. I got to find that clip.
Okay, dear. And now here's the thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
My numbers come from the Office of National Drug Control Policy or from DEA themselves.
Right.
I still have friends that work there. So those numbers were good.
Mm-hmm.
And so the good senator said, those are your numbers. Anyone can have numbers.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't shocked. He was doing nothing but dismissing me. Now here is a black senator in a predominantly black district who is allowing 70% of his people to be arrested in his county for cannabis. And when I tell him that, he goes, those are your numbers. I'm going to say something to all the folks down there, and it may not mean anything coming from a cracker like me. You need to, if a cracker like me is more black than he is, you better get rid of him.
Woo! Boy, that's a powerful statement within itself. But you're right. You are absolutely, positively right. Because he's an Oreo. I hate to use that term, but
no, you can.
I mean, I'm sorry to say it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not like this, but let the truth be known. I've dealt with Senator Johnson, and I have to deal with an Oreo. He black on the outside and all white on the inside.
No, he's all Kevin Johnson on the inside. If it's good for him, if it's good for him. Now, let's talk about what Jill's group and your group and Emily's group have been able to do politically, though, when you just mentioned Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson should, it's a couple years out, but Johnson should remember. These people remember, because you guys voted out either 3 or 4 senators and 1 or 2 congressmen that opposed medical marijuana.
That's right.
You guys, now you weren't the sole source, but you guys put a lot of power behind those oustings. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So let's see. Let me look at my list here. Let's talk about the no smoking and edible policy.
Hey, let's don't get on that one yet. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna break this down in 2 shows because I got like exactly 9 minutes left on this show. We're gonna do a wrap up. We're gonna do a wrap up on this show, but we're gonna continue the second part of this show off air, and we're gonna broadcast that for the next day. What I'm gonna do is, since tomorrow's the 4th of July, we're gonna go ahead and y'all are not gonna hear the rest of this show. You're gonna have to tune in tomorrow for the rest of it. But what I want to do is get part 2 of this show, because I want everything that's on Dan's mind to be put out here on record, because the man is deep, the man has got a message, and the man needs to be heard. So Dan, in the next the next 5 minutes, because I got to sign off and everything for this one, we're going to stop tape, we're going to take a breather, then we're going to go into round 2. We're going to let these guys get on with their day, but you will hear round 2 tomorrow on Rosemary's World of Cannabis. Go ahead, Dan.
All right, so just let me say this as we're wrapping up. Black community, I'm ashamed of you politically. You guys are getting killed with this law. Killed. And I know how hard it is to get away from work and do other things. But you know what? Rosemary's right here, and so are other people. Jill Swing. You don't have to talk to a black person. Talk to Jill Swing. Talk to Emily McSherry. But there's only one way you're going to stop the arrest. And you've got to make the politicians work for you, not the other way around. It has to happen. You have to step up. Or you look in the mirror in 5 days and go, yeah, got busted again. And that's it.
Hey, we lost Dan for whatever reason, guys, but I guarantee you we're going to bring Dan back on the air shortly. This has been a powerful message, a powerful statement from Dan. Wow, he put some... Hang on, we might got him back. Dan, you back with us?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, I was just doing a quick wrap-up just in case you couldn't get back with us, but go ahead.
Okay, give me 1 more minute. So,
go for it.
My plea to the black community is from the bottom of my heart. But you guys have to do something. Now, the vets, you guys are leaders. You've always been leaders. And I don't know why you're not leading now. I know you're sick. I know you're hurting. I am too. But you've got to lead. If you want to get better, and cannabis helps you get better, you've got to join these groups. We need more leaders. And military folks are leaders. Just look at Rosemary. Look at some of these other folks. You guys, we need you.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, you're speaking a lot of truth, but I want to also let you know, 710 Radio is owned by a veteran named Rick Rainwright out of Denver, Colorado. He helps put on these shows each and every day. He's known the message that I've been trying to put out here. So I thank 710 Radio and Rick Once again, you know I love you like a brother because you're a brother from another mother. And he's a proud veteran as well. Go ahead.
All right. So that's about it. You know, other than those two things, we can talk about more, you know, for tomorrow's show. But
okay.
I hope that I helped a little bit. I don't know if we were. I know we talked about a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talked about Anslinger. We talked about the numbers. We talked about all kinds of things. And we'll try and clear that up a little bit if there was some confusion on tomorrow's show.
Oh, yeah, that is so correct. We're going to wrap this up real quick like that. Hey, Dan, I'm going to call you back in about 2.5 minutes. I'm going to do my wrap up real quick and then give you a chance to get some water, get a drink, and we're going to do round 2, okay?
Yeah, give me about 5.
That's not a problem. That'll be about time I'll get wrapped up. We'll talk to you soon,
right,
man.
thanks,
Peace out.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hey, guys, like I said, Dan, we're going to continue this conversation off air, but you will get to hear the rest of the conversation entirely with Dan Engle. He has brought us a tremendous show with some tremendous knowledge and some tremendous facts on what's going on here in South Carolina and across the country, far as with the police, with the policies, and with ourselves. And sometimes it takes that person to come in and look at what we're doing wrong. I mean, as an African American person, I understand where he's coming from, you know, but also as an African American, I can understand why some people don't do what they're doing. And we're going to bring that up when we come back to the next show, because there's a lot of stigma in our culture and we hear it every day. And as a matter of fact, you heard me talk about it last week on a show that Steve Harvey did. Well, at least he didn't did. Nephew Tommy did, and I'm going to get that clip for you as well. He did a clip about a bus driver having weed on the church bus. So if you hadn't heard that skit, I'm going to try getting that skit out there for you, and you tell me how you feel about it. And what the thing was, my point as I wrap up is this. Nephew Tommy didn't think about something that this prank caller said. And I'm going to leave it with you like this here. That prank caller, after being grilled for about 5 minutes, talking about he had, you know, weed on the bus, he finally came up and said, hey, it might have been one of them old people on the bus. They might have had glaucoma or something. You could hear the awkward pause in Tommy's voice. So Tommy had to come out of his character and reveal to himself, you know, reveal to the caller he was Tommy from the Steve Harvey Morning Show. But my point is this, guys. Regardless if you smoke cannabis or not, true enough, the church bus shouldn't be smelling like weed. I agree like that. But if it is, guess what? He put it here on the earth for you and me. So get off of people's back. Quit stigmatizing people by using cannabis, folks. You know who I'm talking to and who I'm addressing. Quit making cannabis a pulpit issue. You still doing it, guys. That's wrong. Read Genesis 1:29 and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We just got out of church on Sunday, so hey, I'm going to tell y'all like this. You don't believe me, read Genesis 1:29 and tell me what you think about it, okay, guys? Hey, we about to wrap it up for today. Thank you, Dan. I can't wait for part 2. I'm hyped as hell. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. You have heard one of the best shows that I've had yet, and I know it's got even more coming. Well, as I wrap this up real quick, don't forget you will have part 2 of Dan Engle's broadcast here on the show starting at 12 noon. I know it's the 4th of July. We will not be live on this show, but you'll get to hear the rest of Dan's thing, because he's got a lot of stuff out there he wants to put out, and I'm going to give him the mic to do just that. Also, that's going to back everybody else. On Wednesday, the Canamedic is going to be here. That's right, the Canamedic from the ATL. No, excuse me, correction. Coach is going to be here. I got the Canamedic on my mind. Canamedic, you're on my mind. You need to call me. Coach is going to be here on Wednesday. He's going to bring us some knowledge. On Thursday, you get to hear from Dr. D.B. Cush. And on Friday, it's going to be Miss Roz McCarthy. Man, you talking about one heck of a show this week. This girl is going to have it going on. So like I said, guys, it's that time of day. If you don't know, y'all better ask somebody. Because it's been a week that we finna go into that's going to be strong as heck. And we going to bring you the news like it or not. It's not going to be for everybody, but guess what? You're going to have the news, you're going to have the knowledge, and you're going to have the know-how. And then you're going to think about what is my next move going to be. As my friend Freddie would say, roll it up, take a dab, a shot, a joint, a blunt, whatever you do. But just do something else for other than yourself, okay? And y'all know how I ended out there, Denver, Colorado. SOS. Smoke